example. Okay, so like I was explaining, the further processing decision is a decision whether to sell an item in its part finished form or whether to process it further and sell it in a finished form. Okay, finished form and part finished form is subjective. What you call a finished form could be somebody's part finished form. Okay, like a typical example I gave, if you're dealing in logs, if you process your logs to plywood, to you, your plywoods are your finished product, but somebody could use those plywoods, like for example, a carpenter who wants to make furniture out of them. So to the carpenter, your plywood is a part processed one. Okay. So note, further processing results to what? Value addition. Okay. Value is what customers are ready to pay. Okay. Value in a product is the benefits the customers are going to gain from the product. Okay, so that's why they're buying the product. So for example, if I take a mango drink, you know, what's the value? I want to gain my vitamin C from the mango drink, and I also want to enjoy, you know, so that it can kind of quench my thirst. So value is what customers are ready to pay in a product. Okay. So of course, I gave you an example of a timber company and of course a granule company. So we can move. So for the processing decision, what to consider? Okay. So what do you consider in a further processing decision? You consider two things. One is the extra revenue that you are going to gain as a result of further processing. And that's what we call incremental revenue. You compare that to incremental cost. What is the incremental cost? The incremental cost will be the cost, the direct cost or the relevant cost that will arise as a result of the further processing decision. So when you compare the two, if the revenue is greater than, if the incremental revenue is greater than the incremental cost, then you go ahead with the further processing. Okay? So on the flip side, if the incremental cost is of course greater than the incremental revenue, then you don't consider. Okay? But you need to consider, of course, the non-financial elements. Okay? Is this clear? Is this clear, class? Any questions,
Yes.
please? We're going to do a question. We're going to answer a question. Okay, any questions? Any clarity? It's a very, very simple concept for the processing decision. It's a very, very simple concept. Okay. So now, can you please screenshot this question so we can answer it? Can you screenshot it? Right, so I'm going to read. CF Limited manufactures two cleaning fluids, X and Y. The two fluids are manufactured in a joint process. Every 8,000 liters of materials input to the joint process produces 4,000 liters of X and 3,200 of Y. The costs of processing are as follows. Direct material, direct labor, variable production overheads, fixed production overheads. Product X sells for 1.1 per liter and product Y for 0.75 per liter. CF Limited could put product X through another production process where there is spare production capacity. The further processing will produce another cleaning product called Z+. Every 1 liter of input to the further process will produce what? 0.9 liters of the new product called Z+. The cost of further processing would be as follows. Product X, 4,000 liters, additional materials, additional direct labor, additional variable cost, then you have fixed production. So you have a total of 920. Z+ would sell, Z+, mind you, is the new product. the selling price is 1.4 per liter. Required. Using financial reasons only to justify the decision, should the company sell product X, or should it further process the product to make the new product called Z+, assume for the purpose of analysis that direct labor is a variable cost. Okay, is it clear? Do you understand the question? Okay, so in this situation, CF Limited is currently dealing in two products. That's X, Y. Okay, now it's trying to think that if it further processes X to produce a new product, what will be the implication? Okay, so now it's asking you whether CF Limited should go ahead and further process X to produce a new product called Z+, or should it just maintain X? This is the question. So what should you do? What should you do? What should you do? Hello, are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
Do you understand my question? Do you want me to repeat the question, or you understood it?
Yeah, please repeat it.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, we have a situation whereby CF Limited has got two products, okay, X and Y, and is thinking of further processing X. Okay, the X and Y are both semi-finished products. They're kind of work in progress products. So they're thinking of further processing X to produce another product called Z+. Okay, so now it's asking your advice as a financial specialist. So what will be your advice? How should we go ahead to decide whether to further process X to produce a new product or not? So what should he do?
So compare
Yes, hello.
between the whether to further process it by checking how much we'll make and comparing to the X.
Sorry, can you come again?
The product X, we will check whether product X or product, when we further process product X, which would be the Z+, which one is more profitable?
Okay. So, in other words, what should he do? We know that we are supposed to further process X to get Z+. Okay? So if we want to know whether it's going to be profitable or not, what are the steps that we should take? Okay, Karamo, you want to come in?
Yes, I want to say, like, they have to first evaluate the cost of producing the Z+ first. And if I compare it against the incremental cost that is going to bring in, like the incremental revenue, then they can make a decision whether to produce it or not.
Okay, excellent. So that means what they should do is, if they further process X to produce Z+, what will be the revenue? What will be the incremental revenue? They compare that to the incremental cost. That's the costs that are going to be incurred if they further process X to produce Z plus. Okay? Excellent. So have this concept first before we can answer the question. So now let's identify, before we answer the question, let's identify what will be the incremental revenue and what will be the incremental cost. So mind you, you have to take note of this. The first table of cost, which says the cost of processing are as follows. Direct material 1,600, direct labor, these are sunk. These are not relevant to this decision, but because these costs have been incurred already. Okay, the further processing decision has to be forward-looking. Okay, so this one is passed. It has been expended on the product already, and it of course relates to X and Y. So what we are after is what's going to happen if you take the decision. That's what's going to happen if you further process X. So if you further process X, what will be the revenue? What will be the revenue?
Yes, I think we have to take the further processing cost of 0.9, multiply it by the 920, the total cost.
0.9 multiplied by?
The 920 of the total cost of producing this.
No. I'm not asking about the cost now. I'm asking about the incremental revenue, the revenue that we're going to gain when we further process X to get our new product Z plus. Anyone, please? Anyone?
Mr. Fofana,
Yes, Madeline.
what about the Z plus sales? 1.40 per liter.
Okay, the Z plus sales is 1.4 per liter, correct? We use that,
Times the units of the 4,000.
Times the units of 4,000. If we further process X, are we going to get the whole of 4,000? Mind you, the 4,000 is the unit for X. Even common sense will tell you that you cannot get 4,000. If you take 1,000 unit of material and you put it into production, you can never get an output of 1,000. Why? Why won't you get 1,000 back, Madeline?
The scraps.
The scraps or the waste, the wastages that will happen during production. Exactly the same here. The currently product X has got what? 4,000 liters. So naturally, if you further process, you cannot get 4,000 liters. Okay, we've been told in the question, the further processing will produce another cleaning product called Z plus. Every 1 liter of input into further processing will produce 0.9 liters. Okay, so naturally the 0.9 liters is less than 1 liter. So that means the total units we're going to have, the total units we're going to end up with Z plus will be less than 4,000. So how many units?
It will be 3,600.
3,600.
3,600. Because we are going to take the 4,000 multiplied by the 0.9. Okay, excellent. And we multiply it by the new selling price. Look at the selling price also. Currently, we are selling X for 1.1. Well, if we further process it, we are going to have additional 30 pence. It is good. Look, it's good, provided the cost also is in line. Okay, so let's go and answer the question. I want you to understand it very well first before we answer it. Okay. So I'm going to my spreadsheet. Okay, so please make sure you screenshot it and follow along. Right. So I'm going to project my Google Sheet. Okay, this was what we did yesterday. And for your information, I have downloaded this file, the whole of this file, and it's on your WhatsApp, it's on your WhatsApp forum. So please go over it. Okay. So I'm going to add additional sheet. I just say add sheet. By the way, I hope you're seeing this clearly. You're seeing my spreadsheet clearly.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll call this AG8, example 8. Okay. So we're going to do our heading as the name of the company, CF Limited. Okay, CF Limited. We all agreed that when we further process X, we are going to get 4,000 units multiplied by 0.9 because every unit we input, we are not going to get 1 unit back, but we're going to get 0.9. Okay? And we know that, the costs that are mentioned on the first table are costs that are not relevant to this decision because these are costs that have been incurred already. Okay? So let's have this statement before we do so please, like I said, in short-term decision making, the narratives are very, very important. So don't do your calculation without the narratives, okay? So just like what we have explained is what we come into right here. So we say the joint processing costs are irrelevant, just like I said. Those are the costs on the first table, yeah? So the joint processing costs are irrelevant to the decision. The joint processing costs are irrelevant to the decision, full stop. They will be incurred. Whether product X they will be incurred whether product X is sold for 1.1 pounds, 1 pound 10p per liter, 1 pound 10p per liter, or is processed further to make Z plus full stop. Okay, so this is what we've been saying. Is the cost on the first table, the some cost, it is going to be incurred whether the further processing is done or not. So I'm going to merge this and center it, and then I'll try to wrap it so I can expand it a bit. I'm going to align it to the center and align it to the left. Okay, so this is the note. So take note of this, and we will do our analysis. So we'll say the analysis of relevant costs is as follows. The analysis of relevant revenue or incremental revenue and costs is detailed below. So far, so good? So now, before we do our analysis, before we calculate our incremental revenue, our incremental cost, let's first find how many units we're going to get as a result of the further processing. How many units are we going to get as a result of the further processing? Basin Salah, how many units are we going to get? Okay, Musa. Yes, tell us. Musa's hand is up. Musa, how many units?
3,600.
Twitter, how do you get the 3,600?
400 multiplied by 0.90.
400.
Yeah, 400 multiplied by 0.90.
Musa, 400. 4,000.
Yeah, 4,000, sorry, 4,000.
Okay. Why multiply by 0.9? Because 0.9 is the output per unit. Okay, if you input 1 liter of product X, you are going to get 0.9 liter of Z plus. Where is the 0.1? Wastage. Okay, simple. Wastage. Okay, so we will say, we just write that every 4,000 liters, every 4,000 liters of product, every 4,000 liters of product X, every 4,000 liters of product X can be further processed to make, can be further processed to make 3,600 liters of Z plus. Okay, then I put in brackets 4,000 multiplied by 4,000 multiplied by 0.9 liters. 0.9 liters. Okay, so far so good. We're going to use our format painter to give the same format with this statement as well. Okay, so the next thing is we have to calculate our incremental revenue. We calculate our incremental cost and we compare them. Okay, so that's what we're coming to do. So the incremental revenue will be as a result of comparing two things. If we sell product X as it is now, what do we realize? Compared to if we further process product X to get Z plus, what do we realize? We compare the two prices. Okay, so we will say revenue. We will say revenue from sale of X. Okay, no, we start from Z plus because that's the one with the higher revenue. Okay, revenue from sale of Z plus. Z plus is a new product. that is going to the new product from X. Okay, so we compare that to when we currently sell product X. Okay, so revenue from sale of Z plus will be what? 3,600. Okay, we all agree that we got 3,600 here. 3,600 liters multiplied by what will be the selling price per unit now? What will be the selling price per liter now with the new product?
It's
1.4.
1.4.
1.4. Excellent. 1.4. And that will give us, we say, equals 3,600 multiplied by 1.4. We enter. So that gives you total revenue of 5,040. Okay, so this will be the revenue as a result of selling the new product. Okay, so we can go to the next one. It's going to be revenue as a result of sale of X. Okay, as a result of sale of X, because X is the old product, okay, that we are converting to Z plus. So for X is 4,000 liters, isn't it? Yeah, class 4,000. And what's the unit selling? What's the unit selling price? What's the selling price per liter?
1.1.
1.1. Excellent. So we say I can just do a new formula, 4,000 multiplied by 1.1. Okay, so let me format this to a financial number formatting with 0 decimal place. Okay, so we have revenue as a result of further processing of 5,040, and the revenue when we don't further process will be 4,400. So the incremental revenue will be the difference. Okay? Incremental revenue as a result of the further processing, of course, is the difference between the two. So equals this minus that we enter. Okay? So the incremental revenue is 640. Okay? It's small, but I think it worthwhile, is it? It's worth a while. But we won't be able to conclude that when we did not look at our incremental cost. Okay? So now let's go and do our incremental cost. Okay, so I will say incremental cost of further processing. Cost of further processing. Incremental cost of further processing. Yeah, can you give me the incremental cost of further processing? Let's go to the question. Let's go back to the question. Are you with me?
Yes, we have Yes. additional material.
Okay, so at the bottom, the last table of cost, the cost of further processing. Okay, so additional material. Okay, just do the additional material. I'm gonna expand this.
Yeah, added
So
material.
these two columns. Just 1 second. Okay, right. So The first one is additional material. Add. Okay, so we can put it in this column. So how much is the additional material? Additional material?
400.
Okay. Next. Next.
Direct label.
Direct label.
Direct label.
Direct label. Okay. How much is direct label? 40, yeah? 40. Okay. Next. Next. Variable overhead. Variable overheads are 80. Next. Fixed production overheads. Fixed production overheads.
No,
Huh?
it's finished.
No, we are good.
It's finished.
We are done. Okay. So why are we not adding the fixed production overhead?
Because so far, the calculations we've been doing, it is going, that because it's going to be incurred, irrespective of either this or not.
Sorry, can you say that again? Why are we not adding the fixed production overheads?
The fixed overheads are going to be incurred.
They are going to be incurred. Okay, quickly.
Irrespective of the number of units.
Okay, so the fixed production overheads have been saying over and over that it is everybody's business. And what belongs to everybody belongs to nobody. Okay, so the fixed production overheads cannot be considered here because it is not relevant. It is not a relevant incremental cost. Okay, so if you want to be smart and you want to gain marks, you could include it. Fixed production overhead, and you just put 0. The examiner will know that this guy knows that this overhead is not considered here. Okay, so you could do that or you could leave it out. But it is better to show the examiner that you know what you are doing, so it's better to put it there and put 0. Okay, and the person will be convinced that you know that this particular, because otherwise the examiner cannot assume for you. It might be that you might omit it from there completely. You might forget that this is part of the question, or it might skip your eyes. Okay, but if you include it and put 0, whoever is marking your script will know that yes, this guy knows that in fact this is an irrelevant cost. Okay, so let's find the total of the incremental cost of further processing. We say equals sum, bracket opens, we add from here to here, and close our bracket, we enter. So our total incremental cost of further processing is 520. Okay, so we have incremental revenue of 640 and an incremental cost of 520. So what should we do? What should we do?
We knock off the 2, we subtract it from the.
Okay, so we subtract
to have our either incremental gain.
Yes, so we subtract the incremental cost from the incremental revenue. So that gave us an incremental gain from further processing of 120. So I'll just put incremental gain from further processing. So we have an incremental gain of further processing of 120. So what will be your advice to the management of CF Limited? What will be your advice? What will be your advice, decision?
For them to further process it.
Okay. Okay, so the decision will be the management of CF Limited should go ahead and further process. Go ahead and further process X to produce Z plus because the gains are greater than because the revenue is greater than cost. And we are talking about the incremental revenue and cost. The incremental revenue is greater than the incremental cost. So this is our decision. This is the advice we're going to give to the management of CF Limited. Okay, is this clear? Is this clear, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So that's it. Very easy. Okay. Very easy. Okay, just like any other short-term decision-making questions. Right. Any questions, please? People are so slow today. What's happening? Are you tired or what?